Welcome to Tech Talk with Jared Yellin. I am so excited to introduce you to our guest, our NASDAQ community. This guest is someone that brings such a depth of experience in the space of tech, investing in tech, advising in tech, winning in tech, having challenges in tech, and he flew out to Miami from Boston to speak with you. Sergey, thank you for being here. Thanks for coming to the studio. Where did your journey begin in tech? Like, what was your first tech venture many years ago?
Thank you for having me here. My original background is technical. I graduated computer science. I was living in Israel back then, and I guess I was lucky. My first job out of university, actually in parallel with university, was in one of very successful Israeli startups, and I was employee number one there. So I had an opportunity. It was company called Compigen. We still exist. It's an interesting story because now it's more like pharmaceutical company. It used to be like high tech in terms of software development, etc. And I had this journey from beginning till like a couple of years after we did IPO on NASDAQ. I also moved to US to start the office of the company here. So that's how I got into tech.
Got it.
And I had experience with like everything, software development, operations, cybersecurity, pretty much anything you can think about in this type of companies. And that's how I kind of loved startups. I actually never worked for a big company. I worked for like a couple months at one big company, was bored to death and jumped into a startup. So
you love the early stage,
yeah.
Right? Like the internal joke with our team is Jared only likes puppies. He doesn't like dogs, and it sounds like the same for you as well. What was it like to be the first employee at a company like that?
So it's basically you do everything and you do it incredible speed. One of the things I love about early stage is every person really matters.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a small piece of the puzzle. It's like one person falls, everything falls.
Yeah.
And we work long hours. We did stuff. Then you back. Like when I think about it now, we actually built special purpose supercomputer from the zero till it was installed in the first customer in 10 months. And it was
So
a
cool.
team of 4 people.
I love it. It's nothing better. That's just so cool.
You think it's like...
There's nothing impossible.
Yeah, it's... you have big companies doing that in like years. That's what I love about
I love it. We always say that at Project 10K, that 1 week here is like 1 year in the real world. And part of it is, I believe that at big companies, they get to a certain point where they second guess, they triple guess, they have politics, there's bureaucracy. Whereas like when you're early stage, like part of my language, you eat what you kill. Like that's it. Like you just gotta go. And there's such beauty in that, right? Like some could say like, oh, they're going too fast, they're missing an opportunity. But I say it's the exact opposite. You're creating opportunity with your velocity. For you at this early stage, like what was your most proudest moment with that venture, or really any venture, up to the point now where you're doing something different? But what was like that proud moment for you in early stage?
I think it's different in different kind of capacities. So back then I was technical guy, and like having this computer actually sold and installed it was Merck Pharmaceutical, our first customer. And it was less than a year. It was like, wow, we actually did it. It actually works.
That's so cool.
But later on, you do other things. So as an investor, I had like a lot of great companies that I was involved with. I kind of, at some point in my life, I was kind of thinking, well, should I go to bigger companies? I've been kind of VP, R&D, CTO in a couple of companies, couple of founding teams, and then basically you go to bigger company or you switch to the business side of things. So what I did, I went to MIT, did my business degree, and then afterwards I kind of switched to the dark side, you can call it. Started to do some angel investments, and then about 6+ years ago I joined Flint as a partner.
Awesome.
And at Flint, we're an international venture fund. We a little bit different from most of the funds because we're remote first. We're a whole team. The team is small, but it's never actually worked from single office. We were like fully remote before it was actually sexy. And we invest a lot in companies from Israel, Europe. We do some investments in the US too. We have some really good investments like Socure, for example, which is like $4.5 billion company nowadays.
How early did you get involved with
In Socure, I led a round, which was back in 16.
Did you like a journey with them?
Yeah, and I'm still involved. I'm still on the board, so it's a very interesting journey for me. So when you're talking about like really proud moments, when you take company from like really early on to very successful company, then it's really a proud moment. And now,
what did you see in that company, right? So, because it's pretty early to when you got involved compared to where it is today. What about it stood out?
So, in case, I guess it's kind of similar for most of our investment, but in this case, it was really big problem. Very complicated problem. We do virtual identity verification for banks, credit card companies, etc. Really hard problem to solve. Tech is very complicated, so it means what somebody to reproduce something like that would be very hard, and a great team which can take it and can execute.
That's awesome. And how far along were they? So when you got involved, what kind of revenue or user base? What did they show you?
They were less than 1 million in revenue. We had some initial customers, but small one. Sales cycle. Very complicated.
So is that the earliest that you typically get involved, or you even get involved?
No, actually we do, especially now, we do a lot of investments like really early. We do seed rounds, and in some cases we are first checking the company.
Oh, wow.
We do. I'm actually since I lived in Israel, I do a lot of Israeli deals in our fund, and I have a lot of companies where we do seed, a lot of first-time entrepreneurs. Again, speaking about like really proud moment, in some cases it's not even the super success of the company, it's more like when you start working with a first-time entrepreneur. When you just starting to work with him, he doesn't know how to do things, you help, you're there, and fast forward a couple of years and you actually believe this guy can take company to be a billion-dollar company. A lot of people, we grow so fast in the CEO jobs. It's just amazing to see.
That's so cool. So how involved are you? So because some VC firms, it's like a check, and they're like, do your thing. It sounds like you're pretty active.
We're very involved. I usually when I do seed round, I usually not just sitting on the board. And board you can have board meetings like every 3 months or 2 months. Usually I set up from beginning bi-weekly calls with CEO.
Awesome.
And frankly, bi-weekly it's more like status updates, and usually we have a bunch of calls in between. My CEOs love talking to me at very strange times.
Sure.
My wife don't like it sometimes, but that's the way it works. It's also kind of funny with Israel. If you know, Friday is usually a weekend, and Sunday is a working day. So because of that, my Friday I still work because it's a working day, but my Sunday I also have weekend kind of sometimes.
Very interesting. So when you're supporting these entrepreneurs, is it questions around product? Is it introductions for accelerating type of relationships? Is it a combination? Because one of the things I always talk about, and this is why we do the show at NASDAQ, is NASDAQ approached me and said, we want to learn more about early stage tech, and you are the guy to do it. You're going to build, scale, and sell 10,000 tech companies at Project 10K. So you just have access to so much early stage tech, and we want you to educate our audience on how to pick the right deals. And what I always tell early stage tech investors is the single greatest way to hedge against the downside once you make an investment is to make an introduction that creates the upside. Because everything is relationships. How do you support with that?
So it's an interesting question actually. If you talk to pretty much every VC out there, right now the money is not an issue. Money, if you think about it, it's an ultimate commodity. All money is green. So every VC brings you money, it's the same thing.
Yes.
So every VC who is any good is talking about value add. And there are different things VC can help with, and a lot of funds actually doing a great job, and they have different ways to have entrepreneurs. But from another side, if you talk to entrepreneurs, you will figure out what basically 100% VC will say we really value add, but a lot of them kind of disappear after they invest money and appear only on board meetings. And to be frank, in many cases, you don't even know how you can help the company. So, for example, in some of my companies, in one of the companies, I recently helped them to hire really good VP sales and a couple other people to the top management. Does it mean I can help with this to every single one of my companies? No, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. I have companies which I introduced to like really great follow-on investors because we already have big portfolio. We have a lot of tier ones invested after us in our companies, so I have relationship with these investors. But again, it doesn't mean that every company will get investment from the top tier which I can introduce. So one thing I can promise to a company, I will try to be value add. And in some cases, value add can be very, very strange. Like I have Israeli companies who founders would move with their families to Boston, for example, to our place in the US. And I remember one of the founders, he just moved with family. He had no idea what's around there. So I would spend a couple times a week with him, and most of the time we wouldn't talk even about the company. He would need help with how do I open a bank account, how do I figure out where to send kids, etc. So you basically just try to be useful. And what I found is if you actually sincerely trying to be useful and helpful, you will help with something, and it's valuable. One of the nice things about Israel, it's kind of double-edged sword, but in Israel, everybody knows everybody. So when I just started investing there, I was kind of telling this story, but I kind of had hard time to collaborate. Nowadays, it's very easy. Basically, when I talk to founder nowadays, I said, look, I'm not going to give you the whole spiel about added value, etc. I'm trying to help, and I'm really super founder friendly and helping people, but I would suggest you talk to any of my founders. You can find all my companies and you can get to any of the founders, so just ask them. And that works wonders.
Yeah, that's great. So what is, when you're looking at a founder, because I have my own potential bias on this, but what is the single most important characteristic, skill set they like have to possess, in your opinion, in order to move forward? I have an opinion, so I'll share mine after. I don't want to influence you. What is that criteria that's just so critical for you?
So it's hard to say what is the single one, because in most of the cases you want like different things, and they are also better if you have couple founders and they kind of share some and
criteria
kind of. But one of the things, it's like energy and perseverance. He have to believe it, and basically most of the cases startups are really hard, and I really try to support my founders, but at the end it's their way to do things, and it's very hard. It's kind of, you can think about it like people who are doing startups are kind of crazy because they
they think they can take something out of nothing and
it's
turn it
like
into something.
It's hard. So you have to be the guy who will not give up, doesn't matter what, will not give up even if all odds against you. And I've seen this. I've seen some of the successful startups who, like, people see success, and people know the public story. But if you talk to some of these founders, they kind of say things like they were ready to give up many times. And
the overnight success is like 14 years.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I agree. So I was going to say it's truly it's resilience. The other part too is I think it's so critical that founders, and that's why it's good if there's more than one founder, but at least one founder can sell the vision. Like, and they could sell the vision where it doesn't even exist yet, but they can sell this vision. What are your thoughts on moonshots? So a moonshot for us is to build, scale, and sell 10,000 tech companies in the next 10 years. Some people are like, that is the coolest thing ever, I want to support you. And others are like, it's just so silly. When people come to you with these like really big visions, does it help them or hurt them when they're speaking with you?
In my opinion, it helps. I mean, you have to have really great vision. It's like, think about it this way. The chance of startups to succeed are fairly low. That's the statistics. So if you're already ready to spend, I don't know, 5, 7, 10 years of your life on something, it's better be something big.
Yeah.
In this case, if you succeed, you really succeed. So I think it's also part of being founder at startup is being able to kind of bring people into your vision. It's not just investors, you will need to bring really great employees. It's never about a single person. It's always you need
everything you said.
You need to get together a great team, and when you have a vision which is really big, you can bring in really good people.
Yeah.
Top people, A+ people, very rarely would go to startup which have just some simple product, no big vision.
Yeah.
They want to work on something which is worth it.
Yeah, for sure. What are your thoughts on this whole NFT crypto world? Is this something that you're excited about? Do you see this as a fad? Like, obviously the blockchain has meaningful utility to it, but NFT crypto, it's getting a lot of hype. You were just on our other show, What's on Your Napkin, and you didn't hear any of these pitches, but we usually almost every day have NFT crypto type ideas in marketplaces, and it's almost like kind of watering it down. But what are your thoughts on it?
So I'm still on the fence. I'm still looking for like killer app for blockchain, and I haven't seen yet. And killer app for me is there is a big problem which needs to be solved.
Yeah.
There is good solution for this on blockchain, and there is no good solution for this anywhere else.
Yeah.
So I'm still looking for it. And when some people tell the Bitcoin or other coins are good, this type of solution, but it's not. It's actually you have a ways to do things without cryptocurrency. So for me, the jury is still out there. I think there are a lot of aspects of it. Certainly interesting. The whole DeFi is interesting. The whole kind of idea of decentralized whatever. It's very interesting. NFT, I think right now it's more on the hype side.
Yeah.
Because there are some interesting implications for how do you kind of register rights on something electronic. But people are working on it for some time. People were working on it 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and 20 years ago. So maybe there will be solution, a good solution on blockchain for this. We'll see.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we hear, and people pitch us, and they have these NFT ideas, these crypto ideas, and we're like, but why? Like, why do you need the blockchain for your idea? Because like you're saying, the killer blockchain app means that it can only be done on blockchain, it can't be done anywhere else. And their response is, well, the blockchain's hot right now. I'm like, if that's the fastest way to make it not hot is to just water it down with these non-utility type of platforms and products and services, and there will be utility for it. It's still early, and there will be entrepreneurs that innovate off it. But like you said, it's a very important distinction. What will make a killer blockchain solution is a solution that can only be done on the blockchain. Like it can't be done anywhere else. That's true utility. How important is utility in investing? Like when you're looking to make an investment into a startup or into a little bit more mature company, are you looking for them to become a utility? Where like the end user, like once they start using it, they can't stop. Like it's really that sticky. Is that ultimately what you want?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, there is this distinction between like drugs and vitamins.
Yeah.
And basically, the difference between drug and vitamin is the problem you're solving. Drug is something you have to have. If you have pain, you will pay anything for it to stop. Vitamin is something nice to have. So yeah, you can have it, but you don't have to have it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why if you look at the prices for drugs, we are so much higher than vitamins. And it's the same thing here. If the problem is really big, if people have to use something, they will be willing to pay serious money for it. If it's something which is like nice to have, the problem is even if we're paying you now, when the market turns sour and there are budget cuts, that's the first thing we're gonna cut. People will churn out because today we use it, tomorrow we don't have to use it, etc., etc. So you want it to be like real utility, solving real pain. Otherwise, just it's a nice to have thing.
Yeah. So what's the process at your venture fund? So is it somebody's going to pitch and they're going to get an answer in a week, a month, in 6 months? Like what's the timeline for entrepreneurs?
It's so the process is pretty similar to pretty much every other venture fund. We have 3 partners, so when partners, for example, when I see the company, I kind of start talking to the company. I have to build conviction for myself, what I really like this company, it's a good deal, we want to get involved, and then once I'm convinced, I'll bring it to a partnership. Usually, because we're all in different places, we would always work on Zoom even before COVID. So we would talk to entrepreneurs, and then you have to build conviction within the partnership that it's a good investment. In terms of timeline, it's different for different companies. The longest one can drive for months, then you kind of start looking at the company and you're not ready yet, you don't have conviction yet, you want to get more data, so sometimes you just follow the company. I actually love talking to companies, not when they're raising, but kind of start building a relationship. But on another side, the fastest deal we did actually was there is one deal we did in February, which is not announced yet, so I won't tell the name of the company, but it was another investor who I work with a lot, who invested in early stage in this company. I heard about the company, so I had some background, but I never met with founders, so I met with founders on Wednesday. I arranged the call with the rest of the partnership on Thursday, and on Friday we said we're going to invest.
Oh, wow.
On Saturday evening, 2 a.m., we sent them the first version of the documents. That was the fastest we did.
Really cool.
I think we haven't done anything close to that in all 6 years.
That's very fast.
Yeah.
That is exciting.
But it's all about conviction. If you just get conviction very quickly, if you see the numbers, everything makes sense, and you understand.
And you want to move on it, right? Because you know, most of these entrepreneurs, they are presenting to other venture capital funds, and there's elements of competition here, right? Like you want the one that you put money in under $1 million, that's now $4.5 billion. Like I'm sure there's you want more of those, and someone else will get it if you guys don't move on it quickly. So there is a motivation to take them through the process as quickly as possible. What's your vision from here? You've achieved really great success in your career. Lots of wonderful impact, helping so many entrepreneurs as a partner of your firm. What's your vision from this point going forward? It's
basically continue doing the same thing. I enjoy it, and I enjoy it not, I mean, money is a nice part of it, but the main thing, I think everybody, you can't really do for a long time something really good if you invest just for money. You have to enjoy this. And I really enjoy working with entrepreneurs. That's why it's more fun for me to do early stage, because I have the whole feeling when you take entrepreneur, especially first time entrepreneur, from basically the idea stage, and you hold their hands, you're helping them, and you have ability to later ring the bell on NASDAQ or something like that. That's a huge thing for me.
It's ripple effect. It doesn't just impact them. It's every one of their employees. It's their families. It's their child that saw the parent do it, right? And they're like, now I can go after my big and bold. It's the reason why I really do stand for early stage investors, because early stage investors are the reason why most innovation exists. They're willing to bet. They're betting on the person. There's something here. I'm going to give you a shot. And because of that, because without money, it's hard to get things in motion. Because of that, it creates this catalytic outcome that really creates seismic impact. How can people learn more about you? How do they find you? Please speak to the NASDAQ audience.
So it's very easy to find me. You can look up Sergey Gribov, Flint Capital. I'm pretty open. People usually cold email me. You can connect to me on LinkedIn, Facebook, pretty much every social media. Quite easy.
Awesome. I really enjoyed getting to know you. I'm so impressed. We've had some pretty remarkable venture capitalists and investors and angel investors and entrepreneurs come out. Your character is extraordinary. Seeing you even on our first show, What's on Your Napkin, where we had 2 entrepreneurs pitching their very early stage concepts, and the feedback you gave and how much you cared, it doesn't surprise me that you've achieved your success. The fact that you have that genuine care to produce impact, is truly what has made all the difference. And I just want to acknowledge you for that. And that's why I wanted to bring Sergey to our audience here at NASDAQ, because he has an incredible track record in the trenches as employee number one, going to MIT, like then becoming an angel investor, a partner in a fantastic venture capital fund that has made some huge investments into companies that are doing really big things in this world. And I wanted you to see somebody that really has experienced the entire life cycle of what we call tech. So I hope that you benefited from this. I hope that you learned. Please connect with him, learn more about what he's doing, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.